Elikem married me in absentia. He did not come to our wedding. The ceremony was held on the third Saturday in January in the rectangular courtyard of my Uncle Pius's house, which was bordered by two-room apartments and a wooden gate that opened onto a busy footpath. Our relatives, stirring with equal measures of happiness, but for different reasons, sat opposite one another on rented plastic chairs that were neatly arranged in rows that filled the courtyard. The partly walled kitchen had been scrubbed and cleared of the cast-iron coal pots on which my uncle's wives prepared the evening meal, and of the enamel basins that they used for washing and storing dishes. My uncle's sitting-room chairs, upholstered with a carpet-like fabric and polished so that the chocolate-brown wooden frames glistened, were also brought outdoors and comprised the front row where the elders of each family would sit. Before the guests arrived, my Uncle Pius, who was my toga, my late father's oldest brother, deposited his bulk into a chair, beaming, as though he was the one to be married. He was flanked by his two younger brothers, my uncle's bright and excellent. Toga Pius's chiseled face with bushy eyebrows that grew in every direction did not match his soft body. His smile resembled a grimace. That morning, as he sat in his itchy armchair, his blue kente cloth had come loose, slid down his arm, and pulled around the elastic waistband of his culottes so that his fleshy chest was on display. He didn't bother to pull the cloth back up. Other uncles and older male cousins, about 15 of them, shoulders high with unearned authority, settled into 3 rows of plastic chairs behind Toga Pius. They all longed to be in his position so much that they had begun to imitate him. They copied his guffaw, which was usually accompanied by several thigh slaps and followed by a loud, drawn-out woohoo. They snapped their fingers like him when they wanted attention, and when that didn't work, they whistled. Today, they were ready to support him in executing his head-of-family duties, as though he would need help in stretching out his hands to receive the bottles of schnapps, cash-stuffed envelopes, and gaily wrapped parcels that my soon-to-be in-laws would present. The youngest and most inconsequential among the cousins would, of course, be displaced by my older aunties when the ceremony began. But for now, most of the women were in my grand aunt's house, which sat opposite Toga Pius's. They were bustling around in her roofless kitchen, preparing the food that would be served after the ceremony. When I had visited earlier, there had been okra soup, reddened with palm oil, bubbling in a cavernous pot on a clay stove. My father's sister, Sylvia, who lived in Togo and only visited on special occasions, shoved several twigs into the clay stove to turn up the heat, and then scooted away with a yelp when sparks began to fly. The sparks still dotted the air when someone broke out in song, which the others picked up and sang, repeating verses until the soup began to boil over into the wood fire, the smoke sending everyone into a coughing fit. Despite the smoke, the air in the kitchen was thick with the aroma of spices and herbs that tickled my nose. The women shooed me out of the kitchen when I began to sneeze repeatedly, and I reluctantly returned to Toga Pius's house, where the others were also hard at work. A few of them meandered among the chairs, their hands heavy with branded handkerchiefs, bottle openers, mugs, and picture frames that had been stuffed into small multicolored gift bags and were being lined up on a table draped in a white tablecloth. These were gifts intended as souvenirs for the wedding guests. My mother had selected Nancy, my ferocious cousin who had just completed secondary school, to oversee the souvenirs table. She could be trusted to drive away those guests who would tuck their gift bags into the folds of their cloths and come back for second, third, or even fourth helpings. It was also especially good that she could control the children who were always underfoot, no matter how many times they were shooed away.